Now that we know about MVVM and how the application is going to be structured now that we're going to be implementing MVVM, let's take a look at how we have the application structured currently and see if we have to change anything. Let's start during this lecture with the model. Remember that the model is supposed to have the data model as well as some business logic and some data validations. And currently, we kind of have the model divided in two folders. We have the model folder, which is okay, but we also have the logic folder, which has a venue logic class. And since we are talking about having the logic in the model, maybe this method should exist within the model. There are also some other things that we have done throughout the application that we have to change a bit so we implement the MVVM pattern. For example, there are some classes from where we are reading directly from the mobile service or a SQLite database before, and that should also be in the model. Getting that information, that business logic, should be in the model. So what I want to do is, instead of having these lines of code in the code behind of our view, we have to change this and have them inside of the model. At least right now, starting with those lines of code where we are getting the information. So for example, this line of code is inserting information to the post table. This should also be in the model. Instead of having this line of code in here, I am going to copy it and I am going to open the post class that we have. And below all of the properties, I am going to define a public static async void that is going to be insert. And it's going to be inserting posts in this case, because of course we're in the post class, we want to insert posts. And I am going to paste that line of code. So now the logic is happening from the post class. All I have to do is change the calling here to the new method that we have just defined. So the post class will now have the insert method and will require the post that is going to be inserted. And since this method is void, we don't have to await anything. And we are starting to now clean up our view. Remember that this is the code behind for our view, in this case the new travel page view. If we continue inside of the new travel page, we see that we are using the getVenues method that I mentioned is inside of the venue logic. And I said how we kind of like have divided the logic and the model when they should be together. So what I'm going to do is copy the entire method that is inside of the venue logic, and I am going to paste it inside of the venue class. So in the venue file, I have the venue class. And right below its properties, I am going to define this method. Of course, to be able to do this, I may need to add a couple of using directives. But once I've done this, the venue logic class has no use. It only had this method. So what I'm going to do is get rid of it. And in fact, get rid of the entire folder. I am going to delete the venue logic file, and I am going to delete the logic folder. And now, from the new travel page, we don't have the venue logic anymore, but we do have the venue itself. So it's the same functionality, but now we're cleaning it up and we are structuring it in a better way. By the way, inside of this same file, we were referencing a namespace that no longer exists, so we can get rid of that using directive. And now the new travel page has been cleaned up a little bit. So hopefully you start to get an idea of what we have to do. All those lines of code that refer to inserting elements into a database or getting information from the source, as well as some of the logic that doesn't have to do with the view directly but with the model, should now be inside of the model classes. So in the next lecture, we're going to present a challenge for you to continue cleaning the view that we have currently and adding the correct methods to the model so we start structuring our project in a better way.